Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this latest Fortra webinar, Work Job Schedule Entry, Drawbacks, and How to Overcome Them. Our ultimate goal with today's webinar is to explain how to provide greater value to your business with a robust job scheduler compared to the native built-in scheduler. Specifically, we'll show you some of Robot Schedule's advanced features and around dependencies, calendars, troubleshooting that make your business processes way more efficient and trouble-free, and that's really the goal. My name is Chuck Losinski. I'm the Director of Technical Solutions here for the robot product line at Fortra. Been here for over 25 years now, Tom.
Yes,
How about you?
Well, hey, and congratulations. You're an IBM champion.
Thank you, sir.
Long overdue. Chuck has been heavily involved in our local user group. What do you have to say about that, Chuck?
I'm really excited about that, and we're going to have a lot more to say about our whole IBMI world in 2025. So excited to participate in that program.
So congratulations. We'll have to put that out on LinkedIn. I'm Tom Huntington. I'm our EVP of Technical Solutions. I'm also an IBMI champion, and part of my reason for being a champion is I just recently put out the 11th annual IBMI Marketplace study. If you haven't seen it, there's both a webinar and a PDF of the results, and I highly recommend you take a look at that.
Yep, and it's open to the public. Feel free to use any of the information in it. Just give Fortra credit for the source, and you can go for it. Tom, I'm going to turn my camera off. We'll save the world a little bandwidth.
Sounds good.
Let's talk about our agenda. Okay, so in terms of what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about the needs of the business. We're going to talk about the shortfalls of the native scheduler. Then we're going to roll into the modern scheduler advantages. All right, so there we're going to talk about the robot scheduler and the add-on technologies that you can leverage with that. And then we're going to spend actually most of our time today in a live product demonstration.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the Marketplace survey, came out on January 22nd. And every year we ask the market, what are your top IT concerns? And they're allowed to pick up to 5 of them. As we can see in the middle there, we have IT and business automation. Certainly something if you have business processes that are manual or not integrated, that's what we're talking about here. We can help you gain great efficiencies and productivity. Obviously, we can look and see cybersecurity way over to the left is very important. Of course, here at Fortra, we can help you with cybersecurity, data access, compliance, high availability, all those different things. And I think enough said on this one, Chuck. And then we also asked people about automation. How automated are they? And we've seen this number hover from 60% automated to as high as 75% over the years. Just depends upon who's taking a survey. There are different people that take it. But still, I think, look at this, almost 30% say they're not fully automated or they don't have an unattended type environment. And we're here to say with IBMI, you should be able to run your environment unattended and lights out, whatever you want to call it, lights dim, and be able to have the server automate itself, monitor itself, and just notify you if there's any issues. And then the other thing that we find in today's world is most everyone out there with IBMI also have other servers alongside of it. And so from the survey, you'll see, 73% have Windows Server, and I think it's almost even higher than that along IBMI, but Linux, AIX, Unix, other environments. And my point on this is that these business processes are integrated. IBMI is your database server, and you have other processes running on other servers that you need to have integrated and build dependencies around. And we'll talk a bit about that today too, Chuck.
Yep.
And of course, if you look at things from where's the deficiency and what does the business need, well, the deficiency in the built-in schedulers or the native schedulers, and we're really talking, of course, work job schedule entry on IBMI, but it could be Cron or it could be task scheduler in Windows and Linux and Unix. What the business wants is event-driven processes that are efficient. They happen on time. They're predictable. They increase your productivity. The deficiency in the free schedulers is often developers, administrators have to write CL or scripts around them to provide the dependency processing. And then when you want to make a change, you have to go through change control. You have to recompile. You maybe have to recreate programs or create new programs for date parameters and other parameters versus just using what's built into the product. The other thing we see is the lack of functionality around non-working days, specifically holidays, special events, changes that you might have in the business that require this. With the automated schedulers, bank holidays and fiscal periods are all part of the scheduling capabilities of a good advanced scheduling tool.
Yeah, and Tom, on this one, I hear about people using the native scheduler and they're putting their jobs on hold when a holiday comes up, and then they have to remember which jobs did they have on hold, so they need to release those, and mistakes are made.
Of course, they hold the wrong jobs and release the wrong jobs, and you got a mess, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that we take for granted too is just the visibility of run history and job changes and what's happening. Today's world, because of all the various regulations, people want to know who changed what jobs. They want reporting on that, management reporting, and of course, those are very important features in the product. And then we talked about other platforms. Chuck always talks about islands of automation, meaning you have a different scheduler on Windows. Matter of fact, you might have task scheduler on 30 different Windows servers and no cohesiveness across any of those. Being able to incorporate Windows and Linux tasks within your IBM processing and making it panel driven, fill in the blank, is really a nice productivity gain for your company. And some of you out there might just have robot schedule and not realize we can do enterprise scheduling. Chuck, you want to handle the last one?
Well, yeah. So the native scheduler, of course, strictly green screen, at least that's how most people use it. And of course, with the folks coming into the business who are, let's say, in their 20s or 30s, they expect a GUI. And, Tom, I was thinking about this. How long have we had a graphical interface for robot schedule?
Well, on and off, really for 25 years probably.
Yeah.
But the latest Java version has been around since the 2005, 2006.
Yep.
Of course, it's been improved along the way. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
And I just had somebody yesterday ask, is it free? Is it part of the product?
Oh, yeah. And it is?
It is. I'm sorry, let's answer that question.
Yes,
yeah. It is.
Yeah,
All right.
I hope that's what you told them. All right.
Yes, I did.
Okay, well, let's move into the advantages of a modern, robust scheduler. All right, so, of course, back in the day, our product was strictly green screen, of course, but like Tom said, 20 years ago, we developed a Java-based graphical interface, very robust, easy to use, and really this is what the business is going to be expecting to see. If they see you working with green screen on a regular basis, it's going to be as though the product is legacy, where really it's a very modern technology. Okay, so why does this matter? All right, I already mentioned the new staff really doesn't appreciate the command line interface, but also increased functionality. You've got a lot of information in one place. You don't have to go hunting and pecking around and running multiple commands to get the information that you need. So for instance, Tom mentioned the job history. When does a job run? Or what is the history of a job running? How long does it take? How do I get from there into things like the job log or QHIST? All those things are very easily accessible through the graphical interface. A unique feature of this technology is the ability to do something called forecasting. So for instance, if we're going to have downtime on Saturday between 6 a.m. and noon, I can ask the job scheduler what's going to be running during that time period, and it will tell me. In the GUI, of course, we can have a multi-partition view. We can also have a view of our processes or tasks that are running out in Windows or Linux or AIX with the Robot Schedule Enterprise add-on, which we are going to talk about today. So the bottom line is more information in one place. All right, let's talk a little bit about the add-ons for Robot Schedule. So Robot Schedule is the base product for doing batch automation on IBMI and all the bells and whistles that go with that. But over the years, we've developed several add-on plug-in tools for Robot Schedule that allow you to enhance your automation. So for instance, if you have interactive processes, possibly through a package that was acquired from the outside, maybe not written in-house, and the interface is strictly interactive, 5250 green screen, all right, we can create robot replay objects that automate that interactive process, and then they become part of your Robot Schedule batch automation. And likewise, we can create agent type jobs using our agent technology called Robot Schedule Enterprise. So you install and configure the agent out on your Windows, Linux, and AIX servers. And from there, you can execute scripts and bat files and so forth. But you can also set up dependencies between your agent tasks and your IBMI batch or interactive tasks. So you can get quite sophisticated with your dependency processing. Okay, so in terms of interactive, the Robot Replay tool basically requires you to navigate through your interactive screens. And if those interactive screens include parameters, such as a date parameter, you can go back in and manipulate those date parameters to calculate a date that is appropriate for the process when you're going to run it. So for instance, if every Friday you run a sales report that covers 7 days and you have to supply the beginning and end date, you can use a Robot Schedule variable to calculate those dates and place that variable in the interactive panel. So when it runs as part of your job stream, it'll always have the correct dates. Tom, let's talk about enterprise scheduling.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier that the graphical interface, first of all, will span multiple IBMI partitions, as we see here in this image where it's connected to Academy, Earl, and Wisdom. Those are all IBMI partitions. But then also within this, we can click on agents, and now we can see what Windows, Unix, and Linux agents are defined. And so what happens is you as the administrator or infrastructure manager install our product on Windows, Linux as a service or process that's always running, never-ending type process, and then that reports back into this GUI. So now we can see the agents that are talking. From there, we can add in file watchers, we call them, agent events. They basically will look and see, has a file been created, has it changed, gotten to a certain size. We also can monitor directories and services and processes from ending on the system, so that we could even try to restart a service or a process if it ended. So what's nice about this is it's very scalable and it's very reliable because it's dependent on IBMI. I think one of the biggest mistakes that sometimes people make with this technology, Chuck, is what partition do they run the enterprise scheduler from? Sometimes people choose their biggest partition of IBMI, and it might make sense to maybe pick a secondary partition, but if you're going to go really big and control a lot of agents, you might just run Robot Schedule Enterprise on a systems management type partition of IBMI. Certainly something you can do. You would do that if you were doing enterprise scheduling in the Windows world. You would actually take and build up a standalone VM just for enterprise scheduling.
Right, right.
And then, from a productivity perspective, we help people out with job flow diagrams, import exports. We're going to show you a lot of these things live, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. We have the schedule activity monitor, the graphical activity monitor. We can replicate processes by import export. We can do troubleshooting right from the GUI or green screen for that matter. All your auditing, your history, and your alerting. We do use the robot alert integration with the robot schedule product to alert you on a cell phone basically, or email. And that, the neat thing about that is, and I can speak to Chuck, put a lot of efforts into getting that to support even OAuth today, the newest Microsoft standard for email security purposes, and we support that even right from IBMI.
Right on.
And then holidays and dependencies, Chuck's going to cover some of those features in the product and how to set up, fiscal end of periods, how to set up holidays for plant shutdowns and other, banking holidays, although there's really not banking holidays anymore, it seems. Using one of the features in the product we probably won't talk much about is Opal Operator Assistant Language. That can be used for some more complex dependency processing, like maybe you don't want to run this job when this other job is running. Maybe you want to skip something on a certain day, check contents of a data area, all part of what we can do within Opal and Robot Schedule. We also can do dynamically calculated variables. We call them reserved command variables, but think about business dates, end of month cutoffs, end of week, 7 days out, 7 days back, things like that. We can dynamically calculate, or maybe you want to know next invoice number, next cash draft number. You can build some of your own. And then dependencies are certainly the big part of what we bring to the table. And then, of course, and we've talked about several times over, incorporating Windows and Linux dependencies into your IBMI batch processing. Well, here's where I take over, Chuck, and do a little
Thank you.
live demo to start out with. And after talking all about the GUI, the first thing I'm going to show them, Chuck, is a green screen. And I'm going to turn on my video during this, I think. And that way, in case somebody is, hard of hearing or whatever, they can at least watch my lips as I talk, and that might help.
Good idea.
So, green screen, but of course this one's blue and pinkish and black. It's got all kinds of colors going on in it. But if we do RBO, this takes us to our robot product line menu system. And if I take option 1, from there, it takes me into the robot schedule green screen where you can get at all your jobs and everything. So the first thing we're going to do is we've determined that we have some jobs over in work job schedule entry, and I'm like, okay, let's get this all into one scheduler. Most people like to have just one scheduler, and I just have a couple jobs down here that I'm going to import into robot schedule. And I guess what I should show you is in the green screen. First, those jobs don't exist. We don't see Tom import here at all, right? So let me go back. Oh, actually I could have done the GUI or the command line there, but anyways. So work job schedule entry, we had some jobs called Tom import. I'm going to go back, grab my conversion command. Notice we can do all. I don't want to bring everything in. I'm just going to do, first of all, Tom import. And what we do is we create actually a log of what's happening. And wow, that happens so fast. I'm not even sure I hit enter. Let's go here and do the next one. And Tom import 2. Again, super fast. And now if we go into robot schedule green screen, there we go. Those 2 jobs are there. They're on hold. And now we can go in and make them dependent on another job or do all those fun little things that we do with robot schedule. All right. Any questions on that, Chuck? That makes sense?
No, perfectly clear.
So GUI. Just yesterday I had a question. Is the GUI free? Is it part of the product? And the answer is yes, it is. And I have 2 instances of it. I can connect to more than one system. I can be running more than one instance. So here's Academy, and then here's Wisdom. There's also a host mode feature where you can connect to all your partitions and see them all at once. I've chose to just do one system at a time, and we go through our disconnect, connect, or connection properties for that. You can control a little bit of the look and feel of the GUI. There are preferences. We do have people that there's a sound mechanism that comes on when you turn this on, and then there's also the ability to set up somebody's GUI so it goes right into Schedule Activity Monitor. Might be helpful for that operator, that network administrator that's just monitoring the critical batch processing at night. You might be doing some of those things manually, despite what we said earlier. We want you to automate, right? But as we do that, we also have a drop-down window here where we can start and stop robot and many other functionalities of robot schedule. Even the licensing can be done through here. Several IBMI commands in the GUI. We can look at history, runs job missed, etc. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on all those. Across here you have the disconnect, the refresh, you have the wizard for creating a new job, you have a guide, you have import schedule objects, schedule list, schedule activity monitor, we will look at that. Completion history, job monitor events, we won't. Event history, and then there's also a few other things on the end, work with spool files, and I believe that last one is work with active jobs. So that's traversing the GUI across the top, and then these little things we can expand, as you can see here, and collapse and expand all the way down even to the agents that are defined to the GUI. And then like any other GUI, you can right click. So with this, I can actually build filters around what jobs I want to see. So not meant to be a complete training session here today, but that's kind of a quick walk through the GUI. So let's do the basic thing first. Let's create a job. I'm going to go a little bit out of order here. And let's just say I want to create a new job. Now we can create jobs, as we saw. We can import jobs. We can actually learn jobs. There's a feature in Robot Schedule to learn jobs in from the submit job command. And we can just go into the green screen and press F6. We can come into the GUI like we're doing here and say, hey, we want to create a command job. And we give that job a name. I'm not very creative here today. Give it a little description. I can say next. Now, I will say, don't be like me. You want to think when you start creating jobs, you want to, even just like a programming project, you want to have a naming convention. So when somebody looks at their jobs, they understand maybe what business application they're from, what part of what application they're existing in. So maybe this is my banking application that I'm creating this job for. And then when do I want to run this? Weekly, monthly, daily? I want to run it Mondays, and I want to run it every Monday of the week. Then I want to put some time on that. I want to run that at 8 a.m. And standard environment, I want to choose a command. So I'm going to go to the command entry area, add a command in here. I'm just going to do work active job. I'll put star print. Now from here, so if I add that and just press add another one, maybe I want to do something like comment for today. And I could actually put a reserved command variable in here. So here's all my reserved command variables. I'm going to just copy today's date and finish this off with a comment line, just like you would do in CL programming. And then I could go on to next. Okay, we probably got a little bit of a syntax there somewhere there.
Well, it looks like you might have
accidentally
overlaid deleted the line. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Easy enough to fix, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just going to do add DATE, go like that. All right. So that's a reserved command variable. I can plug that in there. And now that I'm done, it's just going to save it. If I want, I can view my new job properties. And we give you these tabs to see everything that we just did. Here's that. I can even test out that reserved command variable. In my edit feature, I can test, and you can see that's how it's going to be substituted. All right.
So Tom, that wizard would be used, for instance, for new users, right?
Yeah. Yep. Walks you through work management parameters and all those kinds of things. We'll spend some more time there. So let's, we showed you how to create some jobs. We talked about some of the different things. Let's talk about SAM, Schedule Activity Monitor. It's across the top here. Remember, the GUI can be loaded directly into this. This is going to show me forecasted jobs, jobs that if there's anything queued up, there was a job earlier that was queued up with an error on QSys Opera. You would see that here. And then over to the right, we can see what's recently completed. Now I can change this over here, and I can rerun the forecast. I can come in and change my properties here of what I want to see. Maybe I only want to see things that have failed. We can see over here we have a job. I'm going to drill into that in a bit. Over on the left here is all of our forecast of what's going to run. This is built internally and rebuilt at different times of the day. So this takes us into the 31st, the next day around noon. If I open up these tabs, I'll see more about the jobs that ran, more of the information related to it, especially the ones that completed. So like here's one that was sitting out there for 826 minutes, which is about half a day, Chuck, before we realized there's a problem. That's all right. Here is a job. I talked to Heath earlier. We can look at the completion history on this job, and we can see that it's starting and sometimes terminating automatically. I told him about it. He fixed it. So now that it will always complete normally, whether it gets an error or not, but I can drill right into the job log for this job. So this is kind of helpful. There's the job log. And I can see down in here immediately this job ended abnormally. There was an error starting go anywhere on the system. Go anywhere is our secure file transfer solution. If I close this, I believe I also could go right into history log. This log, history log, there we go. And now I'm seeing the history entries with this. So right at your fingertips rather quickly. And I'm going to close the completion history here from Schedule Activity Monitor and just roll right into completion history. So here is completion history right online. This can be again filtered. So you can say, in this case, show me today's activity, show me just jobs that terminated today, right? There's Heath's job, and we could do the same thing, but I want to see right, jobs that completed today. But again, I could build my own filter. Now earlier, I had a job, I believe, yep, see over here it has an agent name. This agent job creates completion history too, but it actually gives me two logs. I have the IBMI job log, and I also have the agent log here. So one of the benefits of integrating Robot Schedule with Windows, Linux, Unix is I have one shop or one-stop shopping for all my problems. So here's my error log, and this shows me basically what was being executed over on the Windows server in this case. So
Yeah,
right at
so
your
if somebody,
fingertips.
so
Yeah.
Tom, if somebody changed the password over on that Windows server or changed the directory structure somewhat, you'd see that right there. You wouldn't have to go over to the Windows server to try and figure out what went wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So let's do this. Let's go and look at blueprints. Chuck's going to talk dependencies in a bit. How am I doing on time, Chuck? Am I doing all
Doing
right?
good. I think if you finish up with blueprints, that'd be great.
Okay. So if we come here, I have a job, end of day, the job. All right. I can come down here and I can submit a blueprint, which I've already done. So I'm not going to do it again. All right. I could, but I'm not going to. So then if I go into blueprints right over here, I can come find that particular process and double click on it. It shows me a little preview. So basically this is a flow chart, and I can move things around of these jobs. This is a group job, I believe. Oh no, this is fully dependent because it has just, there's, no, it is a group jobs because it's got sequence numbers on it. All right. So it's the end of day group. It tells me the gray. If I come over here and look at the legend, you know, it shows me the types of jobs that you have, and this here color is the group control job. These are just normally scheduled jobs. The blue is a user dependency, so somebody on a command line, user prerequisite dependency, and then all these other little tidbits and keys. If I want, I can come in and right-click this group job. I could look at the properties of it. I could actually even put it on hold or run it from here, reload it, look at the history. So if I choose properties, we'll see that indeed this does have group members, and that's the order of those jobs and the way they run. So very helpful. I think I had one other thing to demo here. Yeah, so let me get back to the thing here. Do you save changes? Sure, we'll save changes. Is the schedule enterprise piece. So that's just built in down here on the bottom. Neat thing about this is all your licensing and some of your security type things are all started out right here, filled in. If we click on agent, it shows me the various Windows desktops or servers or Linux servers that I'm talking to. My particular one I'm working with on my remote desktop is this guy right here. I have the ability to see even processes here, properties. I can have this thing actually warn me, offline notification if I wanted to, if it goes down. That's pretty cool. But then as we roll through, we have agent environments to set up security. We have return codes that we can do. We have the actual agent events that are running over here. So in this particular case, I have this agent and I can see history. When did it last run? You can see it ran earlier today. And I can also see its dependencies. So is it dependent on any other jobs? This particular file being created will launch 3 different jobs. So let me just quickly close this and show you that. If I see this desktop, I can open up my file here and drop this file in here, and it's monitoring for a file starting with RB in the GUI. So I come back up here, and while we're talking, that will eventually trigger. By the way, I can double click on this and then I can see the properties. We can see that every we're monitoring no time range, but every 15 seconds, and we're monitoring this directory and basically looking for a file that has been added and hasn't changed in 15 seconds. So we do wait for that. So I might have talked long enough. Let me just double check here. And there is our agent history from today. So then what's really cool about that is if I go over to back to completion history that you saw earlier, we will see these jobs here are all being triggered because of that file coming in. Those ones were all the dependent files that we had. So those are all kicking off and actually completed already in some cases. Actually, we did one other thing, Chuck, and that is the auditing. Auditing and all those things are built in here. We can see right here that these jobs were updated. They were run on the system all right now just because of that file dependency. So history, auditing, who changed what job, that's all part of it. I think it's your turn, Chuck.
Okay.
Over to you.
All right, that was excellent. I'm gonna do a demo similar to Tom's, but we're gonna show obviously a little bit different functionality. I'm gonna start though just by connecting to my wisdom system, and you'll see my preference that I have set up is to pop up that schedule activity monitor. And Tom, you were mentioning, you saw a job that was out here that had some kind of an issue. Well, it showed up again. So, if I was in operations, I might have got notified that there's a message waiting on this job, and I might drill into the job log and see, oh, look at that. So, here's the live job log now instead of the spool file job log, and I can go in and answer that message and maybe cancel it. If it shows up as canceled, then it'll show up in this completed column. Okay, so I'm going to leave the schedule activity monitor up because we're going to use that for the remainder of our demo. First thing I'd like to show is another blueprint or another job flow diagram. And this is my accounting process. All right, this is my nightly accounting job stream. My nightly job stream starts with a backup that triggers my nightly process, which is a group job that triggers multiple other jobs. But this nightly process also has multiple other dependencies. I have what we call a native file dependency. This particular dependency is looking for an EFT file in my bank directory in the IFS. And when that file shows up, it's going to be one of the prerequisites for my nightly process along with the backup and 2 other dependencies that are happening out in the Windows world. All right, back to the legend, this salmon colored box represents an agent event monitor, so it's something happening out in the Windows, Linux, AIX world. And I'll just pick this one. This is another prerequisite. It says we're looking for a point of sale file in my enterprise directory in my C drive out on this particular Windows agent. Okay, so we're actually going to set some of this up from scratch, Tom. I'm going to exercise the GUI a little bit, okay?
All right, I'm looking forward to it. Let's see what you
Okay.
got.
Okay, so the first thing we're actually going to do is we're going to set up a holiday calendar, and then we're going to set up a fiscal calendar. So I've got multiple calendars out here, but we're going to create one from scratch here. All right, so I've got one out here called webinar. This is a holiday calendar, and let's bring it up. So first of all, it says, what are your holidays? All right, so we're going to select a number of dates, including today's date, all right, as a holiday, so a non-working day. So for instance, we might select, this is the US, July 4th. We might select Thanksgiving Day, Christmas, New Year's, etc. These are all our holidays for 2025, all right? Now we're going to associate this webinar calendar with a job, all right? And I've pre-configured a job out here under Applications, and I've got some jobs I'm going to use for this webinar. So I've categorized these jobs as my webinar jobs, and I've got a job right here called CalJob1. All right, and we could navigate through all the setup panels, including, for instance, the command that's going to run. This is the delay 15. For scheduling purposes, we've got multiple runtimes. I'm going to put in a runtime of 11. Let's put in 11:20. Let's see how that goes. All right, and then in terms of the calendar itself, this job is supposed to run Monday through Friday, but if today is a holiday, that's considered an exception, right? So right here it says run on non-working days, yes or no. I'm going to leave this as yes for the moment. I'm going to check my control options, and here is where we specify that calendar, right? So Tom, let me save this.
Always a good idea to save things, Chuck.
Yeah, and let me just double check the time. Oh, we're already on 2023. So I'm going to go back to this job. I'm going to change the runtime to 11:23. 11:23. All right.
Looked like you typed 11:30, but...
Oh, maybe I did. Oh, all right. 11:23. Let's do it 11:24 because it's probably what the time is now.
Time keeps marching on, as they say.
It does. Okay, so we're within just seconds of 11:24. Keep your hat on, Tom, for a minute, and you'll see that this job, it takes off. Okay, and it's going to sit there. It's going to sit there for 15 minutes. Now, we're going to change that setting in the exception scheduling to not run if it's a holiday. And we defined in the calendar that today is a holiday. All right, so it's now completed. All right, so now we're just going to change it slightly. We're going to say exception scheduling, run on non-working days, no. And let's put in another runtime, because unlike the native scheduler, we can put in up to 8 runtimes, discrete runtimes. And we're going to do 11:25. All right, so when it turns 11:25 here, all right, in another 13 seconds, you will not see this job run because we've flagged today as a holiday. All right, and there we go. It's now 11:25. All right, CalJob1 did not run. All right, it's indicating that, hey, it's automatically skipped. You didn't have to put the job on hold. All right, so that's my first calendar demo. My second calendar demo is a fiscal calendar. Okay, not only is this webinar calendar a holiday calendar indicating those days that a job should not run, but I've also indicated that it's a fiscal calendar. All right, And so when you create a fiscal calendar, you identify all your period end dates that are given to you, probably by your accounting department. All right, and we're going to select today as a fiscal period end date. All right, so I'm going to save that. And back to my webinar jobs, I've got another job, fiscal calendar example. All right, so how do we run a job on the last day of the month or last day of a fiscal period or whatnot? We identify that with a -1 on the run day. So you'll use the day no option and -1. If you say calendar, it'll run on the last day of the month, whatever month it is. If you say fiscal, you'll have to specify a fiscal calendar and then you specify -1. And once again, we're going to specify the runtime, which I'm just going to guess right at the moment, something like 11:28. And over to the control options, notice it says it's only allowed to run once a day if you're using the day no option. Here is my calendar. All right, so I'm going to save that. I'm going to check the current system time right down here, 11:26. So let's adjust this slightly. Right. Let's go with 11:27.
The nice thing too, Chuck, is all the changes you're making are being audited too. So
They are. Yep. So there we go. This job took off because it looked at today as being the last day of the fiscal period according to my fiscal calendar. All right. So we'll let that run to completion. There you go. Okay, so Tom, we just set up a couple different calendar options. No manipulating jobs other than specifying the calendar in advance, and now that job is set for the rest of the year.
yeah.
All right, let's look at,
what else
Tom,
are you going to demo? What else are you going to demo?
I'm going to demo some additional job dependencies. All right.
Okay.
You gave a quick demo of setting up a agent dependency. Let's look at both native and agent dependencies and kind of show the differences. So this is a feature that's only available in the graphical interface. So first of all, to use the enterprise technology, you have to use the graphical interface. And likewise, if you don't have the enterprise technology, but you want to take advantage of file events, all right, you'll need to use the GUI interface, and then under scheduling objects, you will see event monitors. Okay, so I'm going to create a new event monitor. And I'm going to call the event monitor webinar N for native event. And here's the event options. So for instance, we could monitor a directory to see if it's been added or changed. We could do a library member file event, or we could do a IFS event. I'm going to monitor this, Tom. Let's do it every 10 seconds. And now I'm going to prompt. All right, so now this is showing me my integrated file system, and I've got a directory set up. All right, and you can see my file names that I'm going to be looking for. Okay, file 1, file 2, maybe file 3. So I'm going to use a wildcard. All right. All right, so here's my webinar N. Tom showed you dependent reactive jobs. Of course, I don't have any yet, so let's get that set up. So I recreated a native event job. This job does not have any scheduling associated with it, so as soon as the event occurs, it's going to trigger the job. And under let's see, command entry, I'm just going to do a quick 15-second delay. And then under reactivity, here's where I'm going to add my event. Right? So if I was setting up a job that needed to react not only to events, but also to other jobs, I could select jobs here. I could select multiple jobs. All right. If I want to add an event, I click on the Add Event button, find my webinar dependency. I'm going to get rid of these two because I don't need any jobs. All right, now we're going to trigger that, Tom. And to do that, yes, we are going to go to the green screen, work link. All right, there's my directory. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy, I'm going to copy this file, file 3.
Nice.
All right.
Looking good.
F5. There we go. So I've now just added a file to that native directory. And I'm checking it every 10 seconds. All right, and there it is. It's been triggered. And I'll drop down here to event monitors and dependent reactive jobs. You can see that is the connection. And then likewise, let's check event history. And there it is. And the cool thing about event history, Tom, is not only do we track when it happened, we also capture the exact file name.
That is cool.
Yep.
And that is a feature that's only in the GUI. The file monitoring is only in the GUI, right?
Yep.
So got to remember that.
Yep.
You know, Chuck, something I missed earlier in my demo was to show people how they could export. So let's just say you've tested this out on your development box. You love it.
Sure.
Now you want to export that job. How would you do that?
Yeah. Let's just pick a miscellaneous job here from my accounting application. All right. Right click. We have an export to XML. We also have another export feature that's dependent on another library in the system. But this is really pretty straightforward. Let's do an export to XML. All right. We'll call it CL job 1. Notice it's not only executing, or it's not only exporting the job, but it also will drag along what any other scheduling objects or dependencies that you want it to drag along, like my calendar. It's got an Opal object. It's got all these other things associated with it. So automatically, it will drag all that along. I'm going to not take my prerequisite jobs. Okay. Saving it to my desktop. All right, now I could, for instance, start up another instance of robot schedule, maybe to my academy system. So maybe this is my test dev system, and now I want to roll a job into production. Okay, that started up automatically. And so now I can import from that XML file. All right. And then it asks you, what do you want to import? And it goes through some cross-checking to make sure that everything is in place so that the job can be imported properly. All right. Tom, I think we've done enough demo. I'm going to reshare my closing slides.
I thought you were going to say your closing argument on why robot schedule over work job schedule entry or Cron or task scheduler. I think we've maybe beat that topic to death.
We have.
What else do we do on IBMI, Chuck?
Tom, we back up an HA. Robot HA is a fantastic and efficient option. We do document management. We've been doing document management with our web docs technology for many, many years. Cybersecurity with our various PowerTech solutions. Monitoring and alerting, of course. We've got a lot of collateral out there on our website if you want to learn more about that. BI with our SQL technology, capacity planning and performance analysis with Performance Navigator, and of course, automation options, all right? And we'd be more than happy to talk to you and counsel you a little bit as to what we would recommend for your particular business situation. So with that, Tom, thank you for spending some time with us. We really appreciate it. If you're currently a Fortra customer, thank you. And Tom, any closing remarks?
Hey, we look forward to seeing you on future webinars. And again, congratulations on your IBM championship. At Fortra, I think we have like 6 of us now that are IBM champions. We get recognized for what we do in the marketplace. Besides working for Fortra, formerly Help Systems. It's been a pleasure working with you today, Chuck.
Yeah, we're super passionate about IBMI, and we appreciate your time once again. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.